Welcome. Jump into the Compassionate Leaders Circle podcast, where leading with love isn't just nice, it's genius. I'm Laurel Donnellan.
And I'm Daryl Brown. We'll unpack business strategies infused with empathy and action, driving both profit and purpose. Our world is ever-changing, so discover how the savvy leader wears compassion as their power suit.
It's my great pleasure to have one of our 2024 CLC Award honorees with me today. Audree Grubesic is the founder of Offsite Dirt Media in Savannah, Georgia. She provides events and media coverage of the offsite construction sector, focusing on showcasing innovation, sustainability, affordable housing projects, and women in construction. Audree's vision is to collaborate with industry experts, educate on best building practices, and impact how we build, including helping women succeed in a traditionally male-dominant industry. You can get to know Audree and her fascinating industry and travel with her to worldwide events by listening to her interviews with individuals and panels on the Offsite Dirt podcast. Welcome, Audree.
Hello, Laurel. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you. It's great to be with you. And it occurs to me, my mom, who passed away 9 years ago, her name was Audree, and she wanted to be in the construction business. Her father, my grandfather, was a plumbing contractor in New York City and very involved in the union there. And he wouldn't let her be in the business. I mean, he went so far, she wanted to be an architect. He's like, no, because you're going to have to be on building sites, and women don't belong on building sites. So for many reasons, I'm excited to talk to you today. And as I ponder your role in your industry, I really think that you're an amazing model for giving back while building businesses. And I'm curious where that sort of service attitude came from. Can you tell me about that?
Well, first of all, I love that your mom's name is Audree. I don't get to meet many of them, and I am living for her. I'm living for all those women that want to be daring and do something that is not commonplace for us. Being in construction is so unique, and the most wonderful thing is we are progressing and we are becoming more inclusive. There are so many organizations and women that are living out their desire to do something for the greater good. Building is for the greater good, right? We get to be able to create home. Home is where the heart is. That's where it all starts. And that's where it started for me. As a young little girl, both of my parents were entrepreneurs. And I just always got to see my dad in the limelight. I lost my dad when I was 16. It was really hard, but I saw all these beautiful things and how he really appreciated his partners and the people that he worked for. And then my mom got into being a beautician, and she would always bring people to the house. She had her own home, salon. And I love sitting there and watching her interact and talk to older women or younger women and getting their perspectives. So I feel like this journey has started when I was younger. I feel like it really kind of blossomed 8 years ago when I actually started building modular homes. When I was in Denver, Colorado, I built 5 homes in 20 months. And I did everything from traveling 500 miles every week to really learning how to speak to people with respect. I learned a lot about being on construction sites and not being welcomed and feeling alienated, being laughed at. And then yet the partner that I had at Modular SureSite when I was doing those homes was Greg Crom with 303 Development that loved working with women. And he really empowered me to stand up for myself and to be really good at what I could do and how I could be better. So this journey has been magical for me. I think we were kind of talking briefly a little bit about my spiritual journey. When you are in construction and you are having this nature of who you're supposed to be, instead of being this female in the industry, you almost take over this masculine energy and this masculine way of working. and I was at burnout. I was at complete burnout. I didn't know what to do. I was crying. I was exhausted every day. I worked those 20 months without a day off. And I decided that I'm going to get up every morning and be grateful. So I used to write down 10 things that I'm grateful for every morning. And I started breathing, doing meditation for 2 minutes. And my journey, it began from there.
There's so much richness in what you just said, but I will say this. I think that for the male advocates of women out there, I know a lot of them who want to empower women also see a business case in empowering women. There's the heart goal of being inclusive, and then there's just getting a lot of stuff done fast. So I am so intrigued by this idea of building 5 houses in 20 months. Like, what, maybe your spiritual path was part of that, but what is the secret sauce to that? Like, how did you do that?
So we did it with modular construction or offsite construction. So all 5 of these homes were built in factories. I was the general contractor on site, so I communicated with the retailer that sold the homes to the consumer. And the homes were literally built in factories. So when you're looking at Legos, imagine it like that. These modules that are typically 15 feet wide by 76 feet long, some of them, they travel by truck on a flatbed truck. Inside of those boxes, they're completely furnished, everything from floors to cabinets to lighting to appliances. They are built in the factory within weeks. You can build an entire home within 28 working days. And then it's shipped in the modules to the site and it's assembled on the site by a crane. So the efficiencies in being able to produce a product like that is very fast. And it's super sustainable, right? It's in an enclosed environment, so there's no water or any mold that becomes in those homes. They're structurally sound because they have to travel distances from the factory to the project site. There's less disruption on the site, so environmentally, we have less of a carbon footprint there. We also are using sustainable materials and building these houses to have more efficiencies, energy efficiencies. So the incredible amount of benefits to building this way, plus for those that don't understand it or don't believe it, it's built under the same International Residential Code, IRC code, as a traditional build. So when you're building a modular home, we have so many more inspections that are happening in the factory. We are regulated to a higher standard and quality control of those types of buildings. So your product, when it comes to site, is literally connected within hours, and the entire house is enclosed and locked within the next day. So the most amazing thing about it is the fast installation, the fast environment of completing it. And lastly, what I started seeing in this process is the time of ease and working with other trades and teaching them how to utilize their services, because an electrician isn't actually putting in the electrical throughout the house. The electric already comes in the boxes. So their work on site is a lot less. Instead of maybe 3 hours of 3 days of work, their work is done in like 6 hours. They're connecting cables and the cables to the outputs for, the external power systems that are brought into the lot itself. Lots of things changes in this way of building. And once I started doing it and seeing it, I was sold on it. And I've been in it for the last 9 years. And now I have several other companies that I started. I'm working with Merlin AI, which is an AI construction software platform. I'm also working with and own Stack Modular, which is a company that provides project pipelines for factory owners and also financial solutions from debt and equity. So I'm really starting to master how do we create this inclusive environment to build in this practice and utilize different assets to become more successful in construction.
Amazing. Now, I have actually been inside a modular home that was built for a friend of mine in the Hamptons, and I wouldn't have known that it was a modular home. Can you talk about, I'm imagining, and you're the expert, that any size home could be made and talk to me about the finished product. And when you walk into a home, what do you feel and see?
So when I started my journey, I worked for several luxury custom home builders in Colorado. And what I started seeing from them, Laurel, is they couldn't meet timelines. And the timelines kept getting longer. And then we would have change orders. And so it seems like for those, and I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to this that have built a home, it's not 12 months. It's several, like 16 months, right? The journey's longer. When we're talking about finishes, when I started seeing 8 years ago, I was watching what Duval was doing. I was watching what Blue Homes were doing. These were $1 million homes and finishes that are everything that you see in luxury brand styles. So it really depends on the modular factory. If they are creating a more customized plan, a customized program, they have finishes that they would supply the consumer, but if you have specific parameters, or let's just say you wanted to have some kind of granite or some kind of quartz or something that was really particular to you, that's a possibility. Of course, it's going to incur a little bit more cost because we're bringing in a product that they don't already have on hand. But the reason why modular factories are so successful is because their buying power is much greater. So they're getting quality products at a lower cost to install into your home, right? So it's not a one-off on the cost for procurement and materials. When we're talking about homes on the East Coast or the West Coast, there are those builders that can build to a very high pristine level. And then there's builders that are more about productivity and they want to hit a more obtainable rate. So they're doing affordable multifamily units. And so those are builder grade. Again, builder grade is still so much better than 80% of the homes that are there sitting out there, like my home in Savannah, Georgia. I live in a 1950s home, Laurel, and it's so old. Like the wind and the air and the things that happen are so ineffective. I would love to live in a modular home. I would have no problem buying one.
And what percentage of the market is modular homes now? Do you know? And how is it
Yes.
growing?
So, we are a growing industry. If you go to Europe, if you go to the Netherlands, you go in other parts of the world, Australia, go to Japan, a lot of that is like 30 or 40% built with this type of product. Here in the United States, we're only at 6% of the marketplace. So out of 100% of construction, we're only 6% of it. I feel like when the computer came to us 30 years ago and everyone said, "Oh, I'm never going to use that computer. That is not going to happen. I am not going to do work that way." And look at us today. We have evolved and we are using technology. I feel as though modular construction, high performance panels, CLT, steel frame structures, they are all going to be built in this type of way. We are just the pioneers to allow more people to feel safe, to understand it, to not be afraid, to also design and build differently. We're using BIM, we're using technologies for digital design, and those assets take a 3D rendering, break it apart into pieces, and then ship that to the factory. And the factory knows how to put all of those different design elements together with their drawing assets or their draft plans to create these buildings. So you were correct at the very beginning, Laurel. Anything that you have that you want to design can be designed in modular. Is it going to be the right solution? There's a lot of variables. Site work is a big determining factor. Zoning is a big determining factor. The municipality and the permitting is a big factor. So there's different solutions that we have to talk about before we know if we can use this type of modern method of construction.
Amazing. I'm really fascinated. Speaking of technology, I'm fascinated with AI. I'm certainly not an expert, but I do a lot of reading and I'm trying to use Chat GPT at least 3 times a day. And it's saving me a ton of time. So I'm curious about your new venture with AI. What does that look like? And what does the future of building look like with AI?
So Merlin AI technology is a true ERP system, which means that we take projects end to end, everything from financial to budgeting, then budgeting to estimating, estimating into project management, project management into procurement, and then also from there, what is the exit strategy of that project, and watching it go from very beginning all the way to the end. When we are in production and we are building, we need technology in order to be more efficient, to be more transparent, to know what's going on in projects. There are so many builders out there that use Excel sheets, which is great. It's a very great traditional way of working. But what if you could take those Excel sheets, put them into a system that can read it automatically, and when you're designing your home, you can ask the AI bot or the co-pilot, hey, can you give me a quick update on the measurements of the bathroom and tell me exact what tiles we need? And can you also put in there what labor costs are and then where we can source the material? And you can get that within seconds instead of looking through all of the mass data that you have, all of the receipts that you have from your procurement people, all these different things that sit outside of us that we always have to collect that don't all speak together. That's what I love about AI. It's a large language model. It's a model that learns as we create more information for it to learn for us, to help us. And so that's really what Merlin is about. It's been so widely received. We're proud members of YC Combinator. For those that may not know it, it's a really exclusive group of technology partners and people that allow us to be supported in our journey and creating something very unique. I think that AI is scary for people because there is a premonition. There is something that's going on that's a misbelief, like it's going to take us over, right? But as you're seeing, Laurel, it's a tool to help us be more efficient. It's a tool that helps us be more productive. This tool also gives us the ability to see things that we didn't see before or remember those things. So in our estimating, we're putting together our estimate, and then we remembered that there was a change order on a similar home. And then all of a sudden, Merlin AI, the co-pilot, says, hey, we had a change order here. This is something that we need to think about when we're doing our estimate for the next house. This will actually save you time and money. It's pretty brilliant.
No, my father was a technologist. He worked at IBM for 40 years. And he used to tell me like 30 years ago, every business was going to become a technology business. And I would say, oh, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. And of course, fortunately, before he passed away, I was able to say, you
You
were
were
right,
right, Dad.
Dad. And he passed away at 96 at home and had a
Oh,
great
God
long
bless
life.
him. He lived a great life.
He lived a great life. But this is why I'm hopeful about AI. And I get in front of groups of students and leaders, and I've been asking the question, like, how many of you are excited about AI and how many of you are scared of AI? And most young people are excited and most older people are scared. But here, I'm talking to my older folks, my boomers here. I think AI, from my small experience so far, is actually going to save me time and effort, where I feel like all the even software and hardware with computers, there's been a lot of and devices in our hands. We thought the theory was we were going to work less, and we're actually working more as a workforce. And a lot of that is because our boss can get a hold of us at midnight, or we can, look at emails on Sunday morning after church and all this stuff. But I'm very hopeful about AI because I think it can create jobs long term, like we are in charge of the economy long term. And it could save time so people have more time with their families and their kids. And so that's my AI spin. I really do think that we can get things done well and faster. So
I
I'm
have to agree with you. And we're changing. Changing is inevitable. And we're looking at, and I was just talking to someone about data centers. I'm going to Advancing Data Centers in the first week of December. And our data centers becoming more resourceful. They're becoming another tool of power. They're looking at how they can integrate solar into them. We're becoming more sophisticated about energy and how it's utilized. That's just one part of AI, right? Now that we're bringing this new technology, we have to be able to store it and we have to resource it. So there, like you said, again, another way to create more business and a more sustainable approach. Going back to Offsite Dirt, for many people that don't know us, we have 400 interviews on there from everybody talking about lean manufacturing, talking about data centers, technology, talking about building systems. If you are at all thinking about construction, there is something there for you. And we also list all of our events that are going on in the industry, whether they're traditional or not. And the whole reason for doing that, Laurel, is so that we can start staying more connected. We can be more collaborative. We are in a fragmented area of our life where everything is separated. And why not build an inclusive way for us to resource things, to help each other? Because really, when it comes down to it, we are short 5 million homes today in America. And we need resources and we have to build more. And we have a population that's growing. Elderly people need to move out of their homes and move into a smaller home. Where are they going to go? Right? I mean, it affects everyone. The first-time home buyer can't find a home to buy because they're so outrageously expensive in every major market right now. So how do we create that? When I bought my first home, it was a condo. And it was great. I could buy it for $75,000. It was my starter home. I had my independence. And you know what? 2 years later, I was able to buy my family home. We can't do that these days.
Yeah. It's very exciting to think about things that are going to be built faster, better, and cheaper. Because normally you don't get all three, but it sounds like the opportunity is there. I know that you work with young people and you mentor women, and when you think about a younger audience, people coming up and thinking about careers of the future, if someone is interested in building or development, what education opportunities are there that you would suggest? Because it sounds like it's not just old-fashioned building like it sounds like you need to blend your technology and understanding technology with the basics of engineering and construction. So how do you learn about the future of construction if you're someone young wanting to get into it?
Okay, so I had this conversation with another gentleman. It was actually Bob Bursky from Construct, and we were talking about Minecraft. It's a video game where you
Yeah.
build things, right? Those same solutions of building things with technology are opportunities to walk into construction. So let's say you want to get into design and you're really interested in that. So then you go into architecture, but the architecture is different now. It's not just line drawings on a paper. It's literally creating with digital applications. So there's one. You don't have to actually, move a hammer in order to be in construction. Maybe you're really good with organization and project management to be able to bring a project from beginning to end. That is a really good career for you. Maybe you really want to get into more sustainable practices. So you want to get into material sourcing, which is procurement, and start working with companies to source different materials when you're building a house, I'd like to say it's like 200,000 pieces that go into it. And it's probably 30 to 40 people that build it, really, when it comes down to it. So I think what I would do is I would just start thinking about what makes me excited. Am I excited because I want to build a wall system? My son just got into construction and he's painting and he's, building floors and he's doing all these different things. And you know what the coolest thing is, Laurel? He comes back and he has pictures of it. And he's like, Mom, I just did this. Look what I just did. And the coolest thing is, as he's growing and flourishing as his adult self, in his home, when he is able to buy one, he can fix things himself. He knows how to do it now,
There's an
right?
economic reason for learning about construction, whether it's your calling or not. It's beautiful. That's great. We're winding down on our podcast today. Audrey, I think I could talk to you for hours, which we will do in the future. But let's leave our audience with one life lesson and one leadership lesson that you want to share with them.
Life lesson would be find out your passion and move forward. Leadership lesson, we can't possibly know everything. So to keep an open mind, but an open heart, and to lead from our heart is going to change us tremendously.
Very nice. And how can folks learn more about you and all the cool things you're doing?
I would say let them just go to offsitedirt.com or you can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm sure that we'll have my connections there. And, if you are considering a job or looking into construction, find someone and have coffee with them, a virtual coffee. You can check me out on LinkedIn and I'm sure that I'll be able to see you and we can set up a date and we can just chat. The younger generation is going to be our more advanced generation of sustainable practices, way that we look at inclusion and collaboration. And I love learning from it. I have a daughter that's 22 and a son that's 27, and I'm continuing to be so impressed by the things that they can do and how they actually know themselves better than I did at that age and know that this is the direction for them to move forward in.
It was great speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laurel.
And that's a heart-wrapped episode of the Compassionate Leader Circle podcast. May your compass always point to kindness.
As you navigate the world, let compassion be your North Star. Join us next time as we continue to redefine success one heart-led decision at a time.
Lead wisely, lead with heart. You can learn more about us at compassionateleadercircle.com.